Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Clean Machine Live. My name is Geoff Palmer, the CEO and founder of Clean Machine. And today we're going to talk about AI. That is not arrogant ignorance, which we see in some human beings. It is artificial intelligence we're talking about, of course, here. But first, let's go ahead and get started with the disclaimer. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, because we will be talking about some of the diseases. Okay, AI. When people talk about AI, a lot of people think AI. That's like Matrix, right? Like like computers taking over, becoming more intelligent. What I'm referring to here is the use of computer learning and computer modeling and computer analysis of data to try to provide useful human information, useful information for us to learn about how our body functions, what is the right food to put in it, and how we can heal, reverse, and not cause to begin with many of the diseases that humans are experiencing in this day and age. Okay, so I was reading this article. I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen here for you. This article entitled AI Identifies This Surprising Herb as a New Gut Barrier Protectant. Now, why is gut barrier so important? Well, our whole intestinal lining has little junctions in it, little spaces. They're big enough to let nutrients come through, amino acids, vitamins and minerals, omegas, metabolites, polyphenols, all these good nutrient values that can go into our bloodstream, where our blood can pick it up and carry it to the different tissues and help us survive. Okay, that much is known, but sometimes when we have these gaps here, we can have things that form in our gut that damage those cells and cause larger gaps. This allows bad materials, misfolded proteins, toxic materials, denatured proteins, all these things that have negative attributes to them can be cytotoxic and even DNA damaging, which can cause cancer. These we're trying not to let into our system. So having nice tight junctions where the food is coming into our body and into our digestion tract and not moving through into our bloodstream, not the bad stuff. Let the good stuff in, keep out the bad stuff. So that's why tight junctions are really important. So they employed AI, a machine learning tool, basically, that said, okay, give us the bioactives that are known to actually help heal and repair these cells. So bioactives are naturally occurring compounds in plants and fungi and bacteria. You'll notice something in this quote that they left out. They didn't mention any animal foods, plant foods, fungi, good bacteria that produce lots of cool metabolites. These compounds like short chain fatty acids that actually can heal and repair our gut lining, keep those junctions nice and tight, and keep bad particles from getting into our system, damaging our immune system, spiking our immune system to the point where our body can start attacking itself, like we see in Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis and Alzheimer's and ALS and these diseases that are neurodegenerative diseases that are really starting to explode. It's because we're having so much problems with our digestion because we're putting the wrong food in our digestive tract. Okay, this is where AI is going to come in. All right, so they enlisted this AI program, a new artificial intelligence technology, identified two interesting phytochemicals, phyto meaning coming from plants, and obviously what a chemical is, NCT and NFT. These two are agonists. This means they promote the HNF4A protein, which is associated with intestinal health and gut barrier integrity. So this keeps the gut lining nice and tight so bad particles don't get in and cause these advanced disease states. So this is really important that the AI identified, okay, these are the top two phytochemical compounds that our body could use. But it went further. They went out and used that same AI technology and found that hemp fiber, hemp, good old hemp, is an insoluble fiber from sustainable upcycled hemp hulls has been identified as the richest known source of NCT and NFT, the two phytochemicals that the AI program identified as the best for healing and repairing our gut lining. So again, this is knowledge that we didn't have before. We gave it the questions. What causes these gut linings to spread? What causes them to heal or close so that no bad particles like tangled proteins, which can cause Alzheimer's, these amyloid beta plaques and tau plaques. These are tangled proteins that get mangled in digestion. And if we have untight or damaged cells in our body, they open up and allow these bad particles to get in, damage our brain, damage our nervous system. We see this in Parkinson's. We see this in multiple sclerosis as well, where these bad proteins, these misfolded and misshaped and damaged proteins in our digestive tract, which should be blocked from getting into our bloodstream, because we've damaged our lining of our digestive tract, it allows them to get through and penetrate. That's called leaky gut syndrome. Okay, so they found that one, they used AI to identify what were the top two phytochemicals that would heal and repair this, and then used AI again to identify what was the richest source of NFT and NCT. These two top phytochemicals could do the healing and repairing. Now, this is really unique. This is really interesting because this can be applied to almost anything within our physiology. So that little junction is so important that we see this in, let's talk about Parkinson's disease. Okay, in Parkinson's disease, we see this really bad nervous system. It attacks our brain cells, our neurons, and our nervous system to the point where we get tremors. We start losing our cognitive faculties. Brutal disease. We've identified that alpha-synuclein, a tangled protein that is only found in animal foods. Plants don't make it. Okay, so this is interesting. So we know that alpha-synuclein attaches to the nervous system and damages the nerves, the neurons in our brain and in our nerve cells. We know this. Okay, we know also that alpha-synuclein is only found in animal proteins. Plants don't make this. So the only way you can get it into the digestive tract where it becomes tangled, knotted, disformed, misfolded, and it becomes misfolded, which is a bad thing, but then something even worse happens. It aggregates. It starts catching on to other misfolded alpha-synuclein proteins. Now, this happens when we cook foods, when we digest animal proteins. When we cook animal proteins, we damage these proteins and they can become knotted or misfigured or damaged. It's called misfolded proteins, because proteins have to be folded in an exactly perfect shape for them to function properly. When they become misfolded or damaged, they start functioning badly. Now, these synucleins are actually made by our own body. All vertebrate animals make them. So fish make them, chickens make them, pigs, cows, all of the vertebrate animals that we eat make them just like humans do. And they do that because alpha-synuclein actually has a good purpose when we make it in our body. But when we put it in our mouth and digest it or cook it, it destroys or damages these proteins. And that's when it starts knotting up, aggregating, and forming what they call Lewis bodies. And then they damage the cells that are lining our gut. And then on top of that, that opens up the gut and leaves these big channels, this leaky gut, where these tangled, knotted alpha synuclein Lewy bodies, these aggregated tangled proteins, can get into the bloodstream, attach to the vagus nerve, go all the way to the brain and start damaging the brain. So we pathway. I'll actually show you an image from one of the studies. This is how polyphenols actually prevent this whole process. Now, it's interesting that polyphenols actually are only made by plants. They're actually made by algae and fungi too, but once again, it's microbials, fungi, or plants. Animals don't make polyphenols. So we see a pattern here, and that's what AI can do. Let me actually take this down for a second. That's what AI can do so brilliantly, is see patterns. It can mine all of the data, not the ones that some guy on the internet like me wants to show you. That's selective and biased data. What AI can do is cut through that. AI will say, give me all of the data and see the pattern there. And that's what it will present. It will remove the bias and say, hey, wait a minute, based on all this data, we know alpha-synuclein. Let's actually just run down this. We know that alpha-synuclein causes Parkinson's disease. This is basically a data mining, that a process pattern that potentially an AI would do. Alpha-synuclein causes Parkinson's disease. Alpha-synuclein is only found in animal foods. Alpha-synuclein is not found in any plant foods. And it'll look at studies like this one, showing, sure enough, there it is, the polyphenols preventing it through the microbiota or microbiome, and it influences alpha-synuclein in Parkinson's disease. We see polyphenols prevent alpha-synuclein from causing Parkinson's disease, and polyphenols are only made by plants. And it will mine data like this study, showing the potential therapeutic effect of polyphenols in Parkinson's disease. So on the one hand, the data mining is going to show consuming animal proteins causes Parkinson's disease through that pathology, through that pathway in our mechanism by consuming them, and then plants actually prevent them. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The AI system is going to say heme iron causes colon cancer. Heme iron is only found in animal foods. Plants do not make it. And it'll mine studies like this showing heme iron from meat and risk of colorectal cancer, a whole meta-analysis, that is multiple studies, and a review of the exact mechanisms that are involved. That is going to mine that data, look at the exact mechanisms, the biological pathways, and we can show you that here. This is from one of the studies. Let me take down the note. So this is red processed meat and the multiple different pathways that heme iron found in all animal flesh, that's fish, chicken, pork, and red meat, cause colon cancer by multiple different pathways. It's going to know, AI is going to know these pathways, know that heme iron causes it, and say, sure enough, eating animal products causes colon cancer. It's not going to pussyfoot around. It's not going to tell you false and biased confirmation. It's going to say, this is the known pathways. This is what happens with human physiology when you put this particular material in it. It doesn't have any, bias or need for a specific outcome. It's going to mine the data and show the data, and it's going to show that. It's going to show heme iron from meat causes colon cancer. It's also going to find, hey, wait a minute, IP6 iron, the iron found in plants, kills and even reverses colon cancer. IP6 is only made by plants. Animals don't make it. Once again, animals causing the colon cancer, plants preventing the colon cancer. It's going to see that. Here's the data it's going to mine. Cancer inhibition by IP6 and inositol. It's going to see that. It's not going to say, oh, wait a minute, I don't believe that study, or I don't trust that study. That's human bias. AI is not going to care. It's going to mine the pathways. It's going to mine the physiology. It's going to mine the actives that are in the food, in the nutrition that we eat, and it's going to tell us the truth. Okay, let's take another example. Dietary oxidized cholesterol and arachidonic acid both are known in causal relationship to Alzheimer's disease, and both only come from animal foods. Plants do not make cholesterol, not in any significant amount anyway, and plants do not and cannot make arachidonic acid. That is only formed by animals. So the only way we can get dietary arachidonic acid is by consuming animals. You do not get an increase of arachidonic acid when you consume omega-6 from plants. It does not increase. Our body regulates that so we don't produce more arachidonic acid than we actually need. But when you stress an animal out, like in modern factory farming, their arachidonic acid levels shoot up, and then it embeds in the flesh, and we eat that flesh, and there you have the dietary arachidonic acid. So you can see the AI will mine data like this: metabolism, the effect of animal-derived oxysterols, that's oxidized cholesterol, in the diet, and the development of Alzheimer's disease. It's going to see where it comes from, what food it comes from, how it causes the disease in our physiology, and it's going to spit out that data. It's going to tell us the truth. And here you can see the same with arachidonic acid, dietary arachidonic acid. That means preformed outside of our body, not from plant-based omega-6s. We're talking about preformed in an animal. That's the only place we can get food in our diet, in our mouth, that contains arachidonic acid. It has to be from an animal. So once again, we see all through these examples, heme iron, oxidated dietary cholesterol, arachidonic acid in our diet, alpha-synuclein in our diet. They all cause diseases. Heme iron in our diet, and they all only come from animals. Plants just simply do not produce these chemicals, these compounds. And as a matter of fact, plants produce chemicals like phytochemicals and polyphenols that actually prevent the diseases we're talking about. AI will see this. The AI computers will see this pattern really starkly because it's going to be mining trillions of bits of data. Physiological pathways, metabolic pathways, what the effects of those chemicals do in those particular pathways. We already have a mountain of evidence, pathways, metabolic pathways modeled in computer learning. Now our AI is going to come along and take this modeling and run with it and spit out the things that are going to tell us what we should be putting in our mouths. Now, when eating animals causes disease and eating plants prevents disease over and over and over and over and over again, we see this pattern, then it should be obvious which food group our system is designed for. And I honestly believe at that point, AI will end the argument based on its billions, if not trillions of bits of information to say humans are herbivores. It won't be arguable at that point. With all the data, all of the knowledge of the sum total of human knowledge about our physiology, about the foods, about the chemicals and compounds that are in our foods, it will clearly state with unequivocal terms, humans are herbivores. Yes, we can put crap in our mouth. We can smoke cigarettes. We can drink alcohol, but they will damage us. They will eventually kill us. They will cause disease states. We know this. So yes, you can put whatever you want in your mouth. You can drink motor oil if you want. You can drink gasoline. You can put any kinds of toxins you want in your body. That is your choice. That does not mean that's what our physiology is designed for. AI will eventually, in this debate, take it out of the dogma, take it out of this, oh, I'm a carnivore because I have teeth. No, it's not gonna, that's bull cocky. Keep it clean. No, an AI will accumulate all of the data and show us without a doubt that humans are indeed herbivores. Now, I'm doing my best right now because I don't have AI. I can't afford it, but I see the writing on the wall. AI is getting better and better at computer modeling, at finding these patterns, finding these different bits of information and pulling it all together and seeing, hey, wait a minute, this is the truth. This is what belongs in the human body. This is what causes that disease. This is how you prevent the cause of that disease. It's still going to be up to us, though. Before you heal somebody, ask them if they're willing to give up the things that made them sick. Now, Hippocrates said this a long time ago, and it's still just as relevant as it is then as it is today. Are you willing to give up the things that cause your disease states? Are you willing to take the responsibility for those disease states? Now, I pictured a scenario where a guy has two kids, lovely daughters, teenagers, loves them more than anything else in the world besides his wife, right? He asks the computer, what's caused my disease? What's caused my Parkinson's disease? And the computer spits out, it's the animal proteins that you're eating. And how can I cure it? By going on a plant pure diet. Now, when he has that information, all dogmas disappear, all biases, all opinions fold at that point. Because as he looks at his daughters, who cares about more than anything in the world, and sees them eating meat and knows the damage, the suffering his brain is going through, can he sit there and say it's okay to eat that meat? For someone who cares so much about their own children, AI may give us the information, may push the responsibility back on us to say, if you truly love your daughter, you will tell them the truth. I think this is going to be what motivates even the most hardened people, the most entrenched in their routines and their traditions, their taste bud desires, their habits. All of these things can fall away when it comes down to the people we care about most. I know if I had children, I would never keep that truth from them. If I was suffering and I knew I could prevent their suffering, come on. You've got to be a psychopath at that point if you were to try to keep that information from them. You do not wish suffering on the people you love. I do not wish suffering on any of you. I suffered tremendously in my own life, and it's why I chose the path I did, the path of learning, the path of education, and the path of sharing information. I could be out making money doing other stuff, right? I could be having good living and retiring. I'm not. And because I care about people, I care about you. That's why I promote products that actually help people achieve the best in health while also achieving the best in fitness, because I know nutrition and fitness go together to help us lead the most healthiest, optimal life we can. So I'm actually a fan of AI. I think it has amazing potential if we give it the right information and we set boundaries for it to help human population and to help us come into an awareness that takes away this carnivore diet versus keto diet versus vegan diet versus, oh, that's ego, that's dogma, that's opinion. I'm really hoping that AI just says, all that is bull. This is the truth. Here's the data. it's not arguable anymore. And we can start making choices for us, for those we care about, that actually end up with real results of health, of happiness, of mental health, physical health, and yes, even spiritual health at that point, because we're going to be making better choices. And when we make better food choices, our body works better, our brain works better, our whole physiology works better. I want to see the experiment of what happens when we hit optimal everything. And I think AI, I think computer learning, I think that computer data mining could give us the information to cut through our own particular biases and particular wants and tell us the truth. That's my hope. May not turn out that way, but that's my hope. And that's what I'm going to put out there. That's what I'm going to encourage other companies to do is let's model, let's teach AI to give us the truth about health, nutrition, and wellness. That's all I can do, and keep supplying and providing the information until we have an AI system that can provide that data. I'll keep bringing you podcasts like this one and hope you learn, hope you make the best decisions for your health.